Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 10th of February. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So guys, in the today's video, we will be taking up the complete analysis of the Hindu newspaper, and also we will try to understand that which articles are important for our examination. And the explainer PDF that I will be using here in the video, you can download that PDF from our Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram has been given in the description box. You can also search it by typing the thinking palette in the search bar in Telegram. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the newspaper. Meanwhile, good morning, Shiva, Didi Guitar, Pallavi. Good morning, everybody. Now, first of all, we can see the text and the context section. Now, this text and context section, it contains some really good articles, okay, which are relevant for our exam. Now, first article is talking about the coups in West Africa and the regional response. So, this particular article we will be taking up. Then further moving on, the below article, understanding the new central media accreditation guidelines. We'll see this particular article, what these guidelines are and how it will be having an impact. Then further moving on, after that, on to the page number 2. Here the article from an archive is taken, an old article is taken. Now guys, this particular article is from 2020, which is talking about the migrant exodus that was going on at that point of time. Now, too much specific basically details for this particular at that point of time what situation was is there, so not important for our examination. Then further moving on, we reach to the Hindu page number 1. So here we can see that first of all the polls, they are starting from today, so all such kind of things are provided, not important. Then guys, here we can see that the scientists, they set new record in fusion energy. So with respect to the examination, we'll see this particular article what is there. Then further moving on, then into the regional section, the regional issues etc are there. Nothing is important in this particular thing. Then further moving on, after that guys, the advertisements etc, please ignore it. Now here you can see that INCOIS carries out the coastal vulnerability assessment. Now this particular article is a good article, we'll see this particular thing. Now further moving on, editorial section, the first article is reviving the Kerala model of development. So briefly we will be taking it up, that how this article can be important. Then guys, further revisiting the politics of the social justice of Uttar Pradesh. So how the BSP, SP, BJP, how they are moving, or how, what is their manifesto agenda, such kind of things are provided. With respect to the examination academic point of view, basically that is not too much relevant here. Then further moving on, basically anger in diplomacy. So guys, this article is just discussing about a recent event what happened, the Hyundai in the Pakistan. Now they had basically carried a campaign onto the social media against the basically Kashmir. So, okay, so they said that the Kashmir Solidarity Day, onto that their campaign was taken up. Now we said that this kind of a thing was not into the good taste, so the Ministry of External Affairs had reached to the giant. Okay, so this is that particular thing it is being talked about here. The French format. Now this article is talking about the Normandy talks that are being hosted by the Emmanuel Macron. We'll see this article. Then it's time to take a relook at the privatisation. We'll see this article. Relief for BJP, headache for SP. Political article, not important. Then again political article, fine, not important for our examination. Then guys, further moving on, after that, as we move into this particular regional section, the assembly polls etc, such kind of things have been provided. Then here we can see suicides due to job loss highest in 2020. We'll see briefly this particular article. More women got maternity benefit. We'll see this particular article also. Then over 40% of teaching post in IITs vacant government. Now see, 40% teaching post into the IITs are vacant. Now only one idea you need to take up, that these are the premier institutions, and having so much of the vacancies into the premier institution might not be faring well for the human resource development in India. Now see, into this entire article, in which IIT, how many teaching posts are there, how many are vacant, this data has been given. You don't need to go and see every IIT's data. No, just this big the picture, that is the 40% seats are vacant. We can use it. How we can use it, I will just be telling you. Then India bans drone import to help the domestic sector. Is it clear? So just that kind of a thing is there. After that guys, moving on, Quad ministers are set to meet in the Australia. Now basically from time to time the Quad meets, they are being now organized as a regular affair. Fine, it is particularly to contain the China that is going on. Quad is not a security alliance, so basically this is a kind of an indication that has been given to the China basically. Okay, now further moving on after that onto the business page. Okay, basically much of the policy matter related news is not there. Okay, and then we come to the sports page. So this was the overview of the newspaper, and now let's take the important articles one by one in the detail. Okay, now, as we do in every class, we take a GS quote which you can use in one of your GS papers. So, today we will be taking a quote from the Martin Luther King Jr. So, Martin Luther King Jr. says that the true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. So the true peace is the presence of justice. Is it clear? Now the peace can be seen in two of the aspects: negative aspect, positive aspect. Negative aspect means the absence of something, and positive aspect is the presence of something more, of a higher other value or the virtue. So the true peace is not just that the violence is not there. True peace, that the enabling conditions of life, that is the justice, it also needs to be there. You can use this particular idea in GS paper number 4. You can use this particular idea into the GS paper number 4, plus in GS paper number 2 also we can utilize it. So that is all about the quote. And now taking up the MCQ answers for the yesterday. So guys, in MCQs I every day ask the question from the previous day's news so that it can serve as a revision. Okay, so yesterday's there were the two MCQs. First, the correct answer is D, and the second, the correct answer is A. Okay, I think there is one doubt also into this particular thing. Meet says El Salvador adopted Bitcoin, which is not a CBDC. Please explain. Okay, see, Bitcoin and CBDC, they are different. Fine. What is CBDC? CBDC is the central banked digital currency. Okay, now the Bitcoin, it is a private virtual currency, cryptocurrency backing by the central bank. It is not there into the Bitcoin. Is it clear? Thus they have adopted that. Okay, El Salvador had adopted that. Okay, in our country Bitcoin can be used for the transaction purpose, but government has not endorsed it. Is it clear or not? Fine. Now the government which had come out with their own digital currency, it was the Bahamas. Fine, it came out with it in 2020. So this was the correct answer. Is it clear? India is now saying that we are starting our own central bank digital currency. This year it is going to happen. So these were the two articles. Then further moving on, the MCQs for the today. So consider the following statement regarding agriculture orientation index. So recently the agriculture orientation index has been released. So please read the statement and answer the incorrect option here. Okay, one more thing guys, please write your answers into the comment box. Make it as a habit. Is it clear? Otherwise just looking it and not answering will not serve the purpose. Then the second one is consider the statement regarding tax to GDP ratio. So recently the credit ratings have commented onto the India's tax to GDP ratio. So this article becomes important. Please pause the video, identify the correct statement and write it into the comment box. So these are the MCQs for today. And now let's start with the first article. Meanwhile, good morning Swati, good morning Sandeep, good morning everybody. Okay, now guys, the first article we are taking is from the Hindu newspaper, the text and the context section. Now this article is talking about the coups that happened into the West Africa and the regional response. Now this particular thing we have taken earlier in our editorials analysis also, that how so many of the coups are happening into the Africa. Now guys, if we talk into this particular direction, what had happened, the 35th African Union Summit, into the 35th African Union Summit, this particular thing, that the coups that are happening, they are noted. Fine, now a kind of a wave of coup is going on into the Africa. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that between 2020 to 2022, 2 years, the pandemic years, there are the 6 successful military coups that had happened and 3 failed attempts of the coup that had happened. Now this is actually opposite to the recent trend that was there. Into the past few decades, the number of coups that has happened into the Africa, it got declined, but now suddenly it is increasing. Fine. Now, guys, if you don't know what is coup is a kind of an intervention either by military or by some other actors where the government is actually removed and basically by force the power is taken. We have seen that the last year there was the coup that happened into the Myanmar also, where the Myanmar basically displaced the democratic government and came to the power. So basically these kind of things in Africa are very much rampant. Now, guys, if you see this particular region into the Africa, okay, this particular region precisely, it is a Sahel region. Okay, now this particular region is arid. Okay, much of the stability is not there, economic prosperity is not there into the Africa, and because of this particular thing here in this particular area, the terrorist interventions and the coups, they are very kind of a normal recurrences. Fine, this is something which is going on. Now, guys, basically as the coups had happened, there is a report which was published into the BBC. Now this particular report provided that the successful coups, they have reduced. For example, there were 26 of coups that happened into the 1960s, then it got reduced to around 18 coups that happened into the 1970s, then around 22 in 1980s. In such way, basically it is going on in to the year of 2010s, there was 8 coups that had happened. However, now in just 2 years the 6 successful coups had happened. Now, guys, the latest coup that was happened, it was into the Burkina Faso. Already we have covered this particular thing. Here the military had taken over the government, military had taken over the administration. Now basically the anti-government protests, they started because of the rising inflation, because of the other economic crisis, and the president Kobore, he was asked to resign, and he had resigned, and then the military had taken the power. Okay, the same kind of things has happened into the Mali also. Is it clear? In the Mali also there was a mutiny that was carried and the power was captured from the president Ibrahim. Okay, so this is actually happening. Now, guys, when we talk about this particular issue that is going on, okay, where the power is taken, why such kind of things happen, you need to understand this particular thing. See, when the economic crisis is going on, when because of the COVID-19 the health crisis is going on, and when government is not able to give the response, the people, they become restless and they think that some radical change is to be brought. What happened? We call this particular thing as anti-establishment sentiment. Anti-establishment sentiment. And this anti-establishment sentiment wants a kind of a radical change, and the military or the people in the uniform, they are trusted that they can bring some kind of reform. But up till now there is no credible empirical evidence that wherever the military or the coup has happened, some prosperity had come. It doesn't happen. But at that point of time, the anti-establishment sentiment is actually something which is supreme. Now, guys, as these particular coups are going on, fine, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, everywhere it is happening. Now the Africa, okay, the Africa, now basically some certain particular organization, for example the African Union, AU, African Union, AU, then there is the Economic Community of West African State, that is the ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS. What they have done, they have imposed the severe sanctions onto the countries wherever these coups had happened, so that they can discourage the military over there. They are not recognizing them, the sanctions are being imposed. Now, guys, it is actually believed that the all the countries where the coups had happened, for example the Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, fine, what they can do, they can actually form a coalition so that they can resist the pressure that is being created by the African Union and the ECOWAS, and all these militaries can come together and they can basically put a kind of a pressure, and they will not return to the democratic arrangement that was there. Now, guys, the French is also carrying the military intervention into the Mali, and basically the response is to intervene through the muscle power. But this is not the solution into the Africa. The countries need to be more responsible, and with the shuttle diplomacy. What is a shuttle diplomacy, guys? See, there are the two parties, let's say, at the dispute. In between there will be a mediator, and the mediator will play a role to bring the peace. So the shuttle diplomacy, the meaningful mediation without seeking any interest for themselves, the responsible nations need to step and need to resolve the order into the Africa. This is something that has to be taken up. Otherwise, guys, this particular opportunity, this particular crisis might become into a humanitarian conflict, humanitarian crisis into the times to come. See this particular thing. Over the past few years, on to the sustainable developmental goals, Africa had made some progress. progress onto the hunger particularly, some progress has been made, but this progress can be reversed if again these coups will become a regular phenomena. So this is something that has been there. Now moving to the next article, understanding the new central media accreditation guideline. Now this article will be important in GS paper number 2, fundamental rights and the public policy, fundamental rights and the public policy. Now what this particular article is all about, guys, recently what had happened, new central media accreditation guidelines 2022 has been released. What has been released? Central media accreditation guideline 2022 has been released. Now these guidelines are actually talking about revoking or taking away the accreditation of a journalist if he had involved in such kind of a news reporting which is going against the country's interest. So certain grounds have been provided here into this particular guideline. What are the grounds? Are there that if a journalist is acting in a manner which is, if a journalist is acting in a manner which is prejudicial to the country's security, sovereignty, integrity, friendly relation with the foreign states, public order, fine, then that or any such kind of a reporting which is charged with cognizable offense, then his registration, his accreditation will be cancelled. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that from where this particular thing is coming. This thing is coming from the article number 19 subclause 2 of the Indian Constitution. Now article 19 subclause 2 talks about the reasonable restriction onto the freedom of speech and expression. Now when we talk about the freedom of speech and expression, though explicitly freedom of press has not been talked about, but implicitly the freedom of press is there in our constitution, and into this particular direction it has been now given the justification by the government that the freedom is not a license. Reasonable restriction are mentioned under 19 subclause 2, and it is a reasonable restriction that we have now imposed onto the media. Now guys, understand what will happen. As per these new guidelines that have come, the government will constitute a committee, and this committee will be the Central Media Accreditation Committee. And this Central Media Accreditation Committee, it will be chaired by the principal DG, fine, the PIB, and it will comprise up to 25 members nominated by the government, and they will interpret that where the accreditation is to be withdrawn and where it should not be withdrawn. Now basically, as this thing is going on, there will be certain implications that will be there. So now let's take the analysis of this particular thing. See guys, whenever we talk about a democracy, the media, whenever we talk about the democracy, the media, or particularly particularly the journalist, they are called as the fourth pillar of a democracy. Now in a democracy we have judiciary, we have legislature, we have executive, okay, and actually the fourth pillar of democracy is the free media, because what they can do, they can check the accountability of all the three institutions. They can provide the credible information, and the information is equal to empowerment in a democracy. It has been said by the Thomas Jefferson, the founding father of the USA, that the information is the currency of a democracy. Thomas Jefferson says that the information is the currency of a democracy, and who provides the information? The media, the journalist. However, if you put a break that what type of information can be provided, then it will clip the wings of the free information. Now guys, what happens? You see that the grounds are actually very much vague. Prejudicial to the country's interest, okay, integrity, sovereignty, public order. Now what can happen? Any report which is actually criticizing the government can be seen that okay, you had actually acted against the interest of the country. For example, the global hunger index came out that India's rank is 101, which was very much poor. Now let's say the local journalists, they also prove this particular point. It can be called as violating the this particular new guideline, and the license could get cancelled. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the India's rank, okay, onto the Reporters Without Borders index, India's rank was 142 out of 180 countries. Is it clear? Now this is basically a kind of a very poor rank, okay. World Press Freedom Index, we don't perform very much good, okay. And article number 19, which have talked about the free media, free press, it is the violation of such kind of a thing, which the guideline which has been released. Now earlier also the attempts have been made into this particular direction. For example, what happened? A defamation bill was raised in 1988 under the Rajiv Gandhi government, and at that point of a time the unified media opposed this particular thing. Fine, then that particular bill was actually withdrawn, but now the guidelines have been formed. So basically what we needed to what we needed to come out in this particular direction is that a kind of a responsible restraint needs to be there from all the actors so that the democracy's spirit is not lost. So this is something which has been there. Okay, guys, please keep these particular things into your mind. Okay, now moving to the next article. Okay, scientists set new record in fusion energy. Okay, so what this particular article is talking about, it is talking about the recent nuclear fusion experiment that has happened. Nuclear fusion experiment that has happened. Now, guys, understand first of all the background. Background. Okay, so guys, the background goes like this, that the energy requirement of the world has increased over the past few years. Electricity consumption has increased as the countries are moving towards the development. Developing countries are going towards becoming the developed. Their need is even more. Now we bring the energy by using the fossil fuels. We are burning the coal, we are burning the oil, we are burning the gases. Now when these fossil fuels are being burned, it creates a big carbon footprint, which is not good for the environment. So there is the nuclear fusion that is there. Now guys, the nuclear fusion, what happens here? In the nuclear fusion, the hydrogen atoms, they are heated, and the hydrogen atoms, okay, they will combine, and when they will combine, what will happen? There will be the energy that will be developed, and this particular energy or this particular heat can actually be used to heat the water, and then that water will convert into the steam, and this particular steam can be used for the can use to spin the turbine, and then the electricity can be generated. Is it clear? So the nuclear fusion actually is very much a kind of an important step towards safe energy. Now guys, there are actually two things. One is the nuclear fusion and other is the nuclear fission. So there is a fusion and other is the nuclear fission. So what is the difference between the fusion and fission? In fission, okay, the atom will split. Is it clear? It will split. Okay, and in fusion, what will happen? It will fuse. It will fuse. Okay, so this is the fusion. Some of the basic thing we can read it here also. Fusion is the reaction in which two atoms of hydrogen will combine together. They will fuse together and they will form a heavier atom of helium. When they will combine, what will happen into this particular thing? Some mass of the hydrogen, it will convert into energy, and this particular energy we can use for the electricity generation. So the nuclear fusion, actually it is a very promising kind of thing. Now nuclear fusion is something which is happening into the sun, and because of the nuclear fusion that is happening into the sun, we see that the sun is producing so much of energy. So if this nuclear fusion, that is combining the two of the atoms of the hydrogen and producing the energy, if we tap it here, then what can happen? Our reliance onto the fossil fuels will might go down. Right now guys, what happens into the nuclear reactors that you see? What is happening there? Fusion is not there. There the fission is happening. There the fission is happening, but the fusion is actually much more promising in terms of the energy that it can promise. Now guys, understand this particular thing. When we talk about 1 kilogram of the fusion fuel, it can produce the 10 million times much more energy than a kilogram of coal, oil or gas. Now in this particular direction, what had happened from last 40 years, we are experimenting that how fusion onto the earth can be created. And in this particular direction guys, there is one particular organization, and what is the name of this organization? The name of the organization is ITER. The name of organization is ITER. Just in a minute I will be talking about it. So what had happened? Now as I told you, fusion is to be developed, so a team at the joint European Torus, and a team at the joint European Torus. Now this JET, it is under ITER only. What is this ITER? Just in a minute we'll see. So they have demonstrated an experiment where through the fusion they have developed the energy. How much energy they have developed? They have actually developed the 59 megajoules of energy, sustained energy they had developed. Okay, now guys, this particular energy, it has been produced in a machine called as a tokamak. Understand this particular thing. When the fusion will happen, okay, there will be so massive energy that will be generated and so much heat that will be generated that there is no basically medium, there is basically everything, the Okay, it is very much difficult to sustain it and to carry it. So the tokamak, it is a kind of a donut shaped apparatus. You can see here it is a tokamak, and into the tokamak this particular experiment has been carried. Fine. Now guys, what is the fuel or how this particular thing has been carried? So the deuterium and the tritium has been used. Now the deuterium and tritium, these are the isotopes of hydrogen only. So hydrogen is used. Okay, they have been heated in a and to the temperature of 10 times hotter than the center of the sun. Okay, a plasma was created. Now guys, this entire thing was held into the place by using the superconductor electromagnets. So by using the superconductor electromagnets here, this particular experiment was sustained. Okay, and they have demonstrated it over the next few years, and now it shows that it might get to be scaled up onto the commercial level and can be the future of the energy. Now I told you that the experiment has been done by the by the JET. Okay, and basically, okay, the experiment has been done for the ITER. Just I told you. Now what is this ITER? Now ITER, okay, it is the okay, it is a research coalition between the 7 countries, and these 7 countries are China, European Union is there, India is there, Japan is there, South Korea is there, Russia is there, and the USA is there. Is it clear? So the ITER, it is a coalition of 7 countries. Please keep it in your mind. It can also be asked in your examination that okay, which 7 countries constituted the ITER. So this is all about this particular thing which has been there. Please keep it in your mind. Very important development for the science and technology. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Okay. Science and technology and GS paper number 3, important. Science and technology and GS paper number 3. Okay. Sir, can you tell which topics are used in prelims exam? Yes, every day I tell, and this particular thing also will be important for the prelims science and technology. Okay. Now, the next article, INCOIS carries out coastal vulnerability assessment. INCOIS carries out the coastal vulnerability assessment. So guys, what had happened? Basically, as the climate change is happening, the sea level rise is happening. It has been said that the sea level rise can impact our coastal cities, can impact the coastal lines. Okay, but for that particular thing, the credible information or a credible data has been missing. Now in this particular direction, a kind of a new development has happened. What is this development? So the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, INCOIS, Indian National Center for Information Ocean Services, they had carried out a coastal vulnerability assessment. They have carried out a coastal vulnerability assessment. Into this particular thing, the entire coast of India, it has been assessed, okay, and has been seen that which parts of the coast are more vulnerable to the sea level change that will happen. Now this INCOIS, Indian National Center for Ocean Information Service, it has prepared an atlas where there are 156 maps, and they are providing the coastal vulnerability index. Okay, now what is this coastal vulnerability index? Let's see this particular thing. So this coastal vulnerability index provides that when we talk about the Gujarat, 124 kilometer of coastline is might get affected because of the temperature rise. Around 5.36% of the coastline of Gujarat will be impacted by the sea level rise. Into the Maharashtra, around 1.22% of the coastline will get impacted because of the sea level rise that will happen. Now you don't need to read every state that okay, how much percentage will get impacted, but if you are preparing for the State Public Service Commission exam, and if one of your state is a coastal state, you can see that how much impact will be there in your state. Okay, just that thing. And if guys, we are writing anything that how the climate change and the sea level rise is impacting, then we can use the reference of the coastal vulnerability coastal vulnerability index that have been released by the INCOIS. So there as a reference you can use it, or one or two data if you can remember, well and good, but please don't too much sweat over that. Now, this coastal vulnerability index, as we are talking about it, it sees that what will be the relative risk, what physical changes will occur as the sea level rise will happen. So they have studied onto the parameters such as the tidal range, how the tidal range will be changing. Fine. Wave height, okay, wave height, how it will be increasing because of the sea level rise. Okay. Coastal slope, what impact will be there, okay, onto the coastal slope that is there. Okay. So the shoreline, geomorphology, historical rate, all these things have been studied. Is it clear? So this has happened. Now guys, because of this particular information, now how to carry on to the development into the coastal region, it can be decided with a better evidence. Whether to how to invest into the coastal management, this particular thing can be understood by such information. So this is about it. Now guys, this article and this information we can utilize into the GS paper number 1, geographical phenomena and the impacts that are there. GS paper number 3, fine, ecology, environment, conservation, we can use it. Okay. And guys, when we talk about the development and urbanization there, with respect to the management of the coastal areas, we can use such kind of information. Now we'll move to the next article, the French format. Okay. So this article is actually, guys, a very important article. Okay. Before moving on into this particular article, let's take some of the background. This article will be important in GS paper number 2, international affairs, GS paper number 2. So what is this background? See, we see every day when we take the newspaper analysis that there is a kind of a proxy war that is going on actually between the Russia and the USA over the Ukraine. Okay. Now guys, when we talk about the Ukraine is actually very much important for Russia. Why the Ukraine is important for Russia? By the way, the history of the Ukraine Russia relations already we have covered in one of the article few days back. So if you are following it, you might have already seen it. So basically, let's talk again on this thing only. See, when we talk about the Ukraine, okay, Ukraine is an important part of the Russia. It actually is important for the Russia because Ukraine has the accessibility to the warm water ports, okay, in the Black Sea, warm water ports into the Black Sea. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the Russia, the location of Russia is such that it is actually the coastline around the Russia, many a times it is frozen. So the Russia's accessibility to the sea is many times restricted, but the accessibility to the Russia to the water can be provided through this Black Sea, and there the Ukraine holds a strategic position. Because of this particular thing, what happened, the Russia basically annexed a part of the Ukraine, that was the Crimea. It annexed the Crimea in 2014, and since then the Russia actually is aspiring to have a greater control into the Ukraine. Now this particular thing is not liked by the USA. Why? Because USA sees Ukraine, that Ukraine can be an ally for the USA. Is it clear? Ukraine can be an ally for the USA. The Ukraine can be used to actually embolden the presence of the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, and as the USA is becoming interested in Ukraine, Russia gets irritated onto this particular thing, and Russia again and again says that if Ukraine will go towards the USA, we will not like this particular thing, and possibly we will annex the entire Ukraine if the USA will interfere into this particular matter. Is it clear? In turn, the USA also threatens the Russia. USA says that if you did anything into the Ukraine, what we will do, we will impose more and more sanctions on you. Fine. Moreover, it has been said that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that is there, which will supply the gas from Russia to Germany. Fine, it is an ambitious project of the Russia. Okay, the USA says that we will cancel this Nord Stream 2 pipeline. By the way, Nord Stream pipeline also multiple times we have discussed. Now this particular crisis is going on. Fine. Basically, this can escalate into a war. Okay, what had happened? The France has intervened into this particular things, and the France has again actually carried a shuttle diplomacy. I told you what a shuttle diplomacy is. So France had started the Normandy format talks. Now what are these Normandy format talks? Here it includes the France, Germany, Russia, Ukraine, and both of these and actually these Normandy format talks, it is focused on initiating a Moscow-Kiev dialogue, Ukraine-Russia dialogue, so that both can come at peace and can avoid any confrontation. Now, the French president Emmanuel Macron, fine, he had carried, which is the most significant intervention since this particular crisis is going into the Europe. Now guys, understand, I already told you that the USA had said that they will basically kill this Nord Stream 2 pipeline if there will be a Russian invasion. Now the USA's approach is little bit problematic. Why? Because the USA is actually increasing the confrontation, or the USA's way of intervention is such that Russia might get even more irritated. Is it clear? Now at this particular point of time, the Europe actually, it is very much opposite to the USA's view. You can see here, first of all, the Hungary's prime minister just a few days back, what he had done, he had met the Russian president Putin, and he had said that the Russia's demands are reasonable, there is not a problem. At the same point, what France says that the West must respect the Russia. Okay, even the Germany don't want to have any kind of a problem here, but the USA is threatening that okay, we will do this, we will do this. Now during this, at this particular time, entire Europe, they have seen already the two world wars, they have seen the implication of the Cold War, and the Europe understands that pragmatic realism is needed to be adopted. Pragmatic realism is that when we are open to the other people's viewpoint also. Is it clear? So the Europe wants that no confrontation should happen, the USA's adventurism should be removed, and the countries should be brought together onto the talk so that they can discuss what are the meaningful ways in which we can resolve it. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that everyone who is participating into these talks, they want that the Minsk agreement should again be resorted. Now what is this Minsk agreement, okay, or the Minsk protocol? So guys, Minsk agreement happened in 2014 and 15 actually. There are the two, Minsk 1 is there and the Minsk 2 are there. Now they actually was a kind of a peace agreement between the Ukraine and Russia. Up till now the Minsk agreement has not been followed. Now every country want that please come back again and start following this Minsk 1 and Minsk 2. So what is this Minsk 1 and Minsk 2? So Minsk 1, it was signed between the Ukraine and Russia, okay, in 2014, and the Minsk 2, it was signed in 2015. Now it is a kind of a deal where there will be the prisoner exchange, humanitarian aid will be delivered, withdrawal of the heavy weaponry will be there. However, not followed. The Minsk 2 2015, it was also a peace agreement, okay, signed under the mediation of France. Fine, here also it was said that basically the fighting which is going on into the rebel region, it is to be removed. Fine, border is to be handed over to the Ukraine's national troops. Okay, Ukraine will not be going more towards the side of the West, particularly the USA. So this is what is the Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 is. You don't need to go step by step provisions. Now the France, Germany, they want that please come back to the Minsk 2, and this Normandy format talks that are happening, it is also oriented on achieving what was happened into the Minsk 2014 and 15. So this is guys entire way which has happened. Now if this particular thing becomes successful, it will be a very big breakthrough into the Europe, and thus instability fine that has come there, it might get reduced. And guys, this is a way in which that talks needed to be carried, and USA should cooperate here. So this is something which is there. I hope that you have understood it. Now guys, see, all these particular things over the period of time will make your understanding with respect to the IR more robust. Okay, so please be careful on it. Now moving to the next article. It's time to take a relook at privatization. Okay, now we first of all, let's take the background. Okay guys, this article will be important for GS paper number 3, the industrial policy. Now see what has happened actually. In 1991, we came out with the liberalization, privatization, globalization reforms, because before that India was an inward looking economy. We have seen the China, and the China's open door policy of 1978 actually gave a lot of benefit to the China became an open economy. So we took the Chinese lesson and we said that okay, we will also become a liberalized, privatized and globalized economy. 1991 it happened. And as this privatization happened, there actually are the two viewpoints onto the privatization. Some people say privatization is good, some people say that no, privatization has not achieved what was expected. Now this article which we are going to discuss, it says that the privatization actually is not a panacea. So this is something which is there in this article. Now let's understand what the article says. So article says that okay, the privatization is the panacea. Many a times it is believed, but it is not always true. true. Now it has been said that after getting privatized, the public sector undertakings, fine, it has been seen that they are actually more profitable, they are governed more effectively. Okay, that is their efficiency comes, but that is not very much significant. Okay, this is the article says. Article says that if we see the growth post privatization, it is due to the multiple number of factors. For example, better funding is provided when a private promoter comes into an industry. He can provide the better funding, better working capital he can provide, fine. But government at the same time has the starved budget. Okay, at the same time better business cycle can be provided. Okay, this is a something by which the private sectors or privatized industries they perform better. Now the article says that all these things can be provided by the government also. Is it clear? Government, if it allocates the money properly, then the government can also achieve the efficiency. That is there, which is something being said. Guys, here it has been said that there are actually the social consequences of the privatization that have been there. What are the social consequences? See, PSUs, they were the employment generators. Okay, they focus on, if they are actually, they are employment generators, they focus on giving employment as well as uh, regional instability that is there, they address to that also. Into the backward areas they will establish their industries, and all these things are taken. But actually when the privatization is coming, all these particular things are lost. Employment generation has a multiplier effect. What is this multiplier effect? Let's understand it. See, there will be the PSU will generate a lot of employment. Let's say that 10 people have been given more employment. Now these 10 people, when they will receive the wage, what will happen? By this particular wage, they will demand more goods. Aggregate demand will be increased. When this aggregate demand will be increased, what will happen? The supply has to be actually increased to meet this new demand. And for new supply, what happened? Even new industries will be built and more people will be employed. Is it clear? So this multiplier effect will come by the PSUs if they focus on more employment. But privatized, their employment generation is not a focus, efficiency is a focus, and this multiplier effect is actually lost. Is it clear? Now the Maruti model has been discussed here into this particular article. So basically the Maruti, okay, and the Suzuki, it was a joint collaboration. Maruti and Suzuki was a joint collaboration. Suzuki held 26% shareholding, but what happened? Government pull out from here and the entire stake was given to the Suzuki said that we will focus on greater exports. Okay, but the Suzuki was given an entire stake. Now this particular corporate or this particular Maruti Suzuki could have scaled to something different, but the government did not did that. Now guys, it has been said that we can actually learn some lessons from the China. Now China, what they have done, they have not completely privatized their industries, rather they have corporatized their PSUs. Into this particular thing, what they do, they actually create a holding company, one holding company over a similar type of PSUs, and this holding company promotes better governance. They appoints the leaders, they appoints the executors. Okay, mergers, acquisition, everything will be done in a corporate style within the government only. This is one thing that is there. Then guys, into the Singapore, there is the Ministry of Finance, and this Ministry of Finance focuses on policy making, while there will be a holding firm which will focus on how the PSUs can be expanded, how the PSU can be made much more efficient, much more effective. Is it clear or not? Now the India can learn from the Singapore and China how they are focusing on corporatization of their PSU rather than for the privatization. This is something that we can learn from there. Okay, there are efficiencies there, scalability is there, export potential, everything is there. So we need to learn that. Is it clear? Now guys, over the privatization and for the disinvestment, there are some steps that have been taken into the past. This you can use in your answers. See, there was the Disinvestment Commission that was established under the Ministry of Industries in 1996. Now this Disinvestment Commission, it was given a task that you tell that in the next 10 years which industries are to be privatized. But what happened? Actually it was dissolved in 1999. Then there was a Department of Disinvestment was there. Now this Department of Disinvestment was there in the Ministry of Finance. It got upgraded to a full-fledged ministry in 2001. Then it was again downgraded back to the department in 2004. So these are some of the attempts for the disinvestment, for the privatization that has happened into the past. So guys, this is a kind of a viewpoint that is there, you can utilize in some of your answers. Now move to the next article. reviving the Kerala model of development. Okay, now guys, this particular article, it is talking about the regional development. So therefore, in GS paper number 1 as well as GS paper number 2, we can use this particular article. So basically, this article says that when we talk about the Kerala, now understand this particular thing. Please don't be specific only to the Kerala, the things that are there. You need to understand it into a broader perspective. So basically, what this article says that the Kerala made model of development, okay, it is appreciated and sometimes compared to the rich countries of the West also. So in terms of the human development indicator, the health indicator, education, quality of life, they are comparable to the rich countries, but at the same time there are some other problems also that are there into the Kerala. For example, alcoholism, suicide rate, they are a very big problem. Now see, alcoholism, suicide, not only it is a problem in Kerala, in entire country it is a problem. And on to particularly the suicides, there is one more article that is there. Now see, the article says that we need to carry a smarter socio-economic investment. Okay, we need to carry a smarter socio-economic investment as how the governance can be improved. This particular thing is to be carried. Now the Kerala, and not Kerala, I will say the entire India, it can develop as a we can develop as a knowledge economy. Why? Because we have the demographic dividend, we have young population, and this young population can provide the knowledge services to the entire world, and the knowledge economy status can India achieve. For this particular thing, uh, the quality of higher education, vocational training, okay, all these particular things are to be developed. We need to aspire to be a modern workforce for the entire world. Now guys, understand this particular thing. There is one particular line which I read, I don't know, in some of a book. It said that if China is the factory to the world, if China is the factory to the world, India can be the back office of the world. We can provide the human resource to the entire world. So modern workforce is something which we need to work upon, and socio-economic investment on education, etc., is needed to be made. Next guys, it has been provided that when we talk about the Kerala, fine, it is a state with high human capital, okay, high population mobility is there into the Kerala. Fine, there is a specific things, low hanging fruits for the Kerala, that is marine biology is there, healthcare is there, digital technology is there. Fine, there they have expertise, it could be leveraged. Fine, for entire India, in fact, it should be leveraged. Now on to the Public Affair Index 2020. Actually, the Kerala has been ranked as the best governed state. Okay, this has happened. Decentralized governance, strong grassroots level. Okay, Asha network. Okay, it has been there. Now, further, it should be scaled up. Then, guys, next thing, it has been provided that the state need to focus onto their fragile ecology. Okay, just into the name of the development, they should not just destroy the ecology. That is something that needs to be there. So, guys, this suggestion can also be for entire India, that we need to balance the ecology and development. Then guys, after that, the article says that the Kerala needs to revive its network of river, tributaries, streams, sand mining is needed to be curbed. Fine, this is something that has been provided. Okay, now guys, here there is a one particular quote given by the Sri Narayan Guru. It has been mentioned. Fine, it says that whatever his religion, it is enough that a man be good. Fine, so it has been said that whatever his religion, it is enough that the man be good. So this particular dictum can be implemented that into the Kerala and even the entire country's politics, that whatever the politics, it is enough that the country be better. Parties, they are doing the politics, they belong to the different political party, but make sure that you are making the country more stronger, you are making the country more developed. So this is something which was there into the article, you can use it. Now moving to the next article. Suicides due to job losses highest in 2020 center. So guys, because of the pandemic, the existential crisis has emerged, the uncertainty, okay, and the economic distress has emerged, because of which the people are resorting to the extreme steps such as the suicides. Fine, now it has been provided that actually into the 2020 there are more than 3500 cases of suicide that were there. Is it clear? The 3500 cases of suicides that were there. Now many of these suicides are because of the economic reason. Fine, basically job loss, okay, indebtedness and all such kind of things. So guys, into this particular direction, what government needs to do, government needs to be much more sensitive. Now there is the Atmanirbhar Bharat Rojgar Yojana that is there, which incentivize the employers to create new jobs. Social security benefits are there. Such kind of schemes can be scaled to reduce the economic uncertainty uncertainty, to reduce the economic stress that is there, and the suicides, the lives that are being lost, it can be prevented by this particular intervention. Okay, so this is something that is there. Okay, guys, just don't go too much into the hairline data. Okay, just you don't need to go into that particular thing. Fine, just a broader picture you need to understand. So that is all about this particular article. Moving to the next. More women got maternity benefit. Okay, so guys, this particular article is talking about the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. First of all, when we talk about the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, it is a kind of a cash entitlement scheme where 5,000 rupees are provided to the pregnant mothers into the 3 installments. What will happen? Let's see. So basically, this particular scheme provides 5,000 rupees of benefit, fine, in 3 installment for the first living child. First living child, if the women will meet certain conditions. Okay. Now this particular money is being given so that the compensation, the wage loss is not there. It is a compensation for the wage loss. Okay, now guys, understand this particular thing, that what will happen here, into the 3 installments the money will be given. First, when the pregnancy will be registered, money will be given. Then secondly, after the antenatal care will be received, the money will be given. And the third installment will be given after the delivery. So into the 3 installments, 5,000 rupees money is being given. Now guys, as this particular scheme is, this scheme is only for the women who are not employed by the central or the state government, or they are not into the PSUs. Is it clear? Now, along with the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, 5,000 rupees is being given. It is also clubbed with the Janani Suraksha Yojana. Now, Janani Suraksha Yojana provides 1,000 rupees. Is it clear? It is for the institutional delivery. Now, understand this particular thing. This Janani Suraksha Yojana, it is not limited to one child. Okay. Find any number of child, you can get 1,000 rupees under Janani Suraksha Yojana. But Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, only it is for one live birth, 5,000 rupees is given. In total, a mother gets 6,000 rupees. Now, this particular scheme is there. What had happened? It has been said that actually government took a target of 51.7 lakh mothers. Okay, that 51.7 lakh mothers will reach. This was a target government took, and we have overachieved this particular target. Now, how much? No such information is there, but we have overachieved it. But guys, understand, let's take some little bit of critical analysis. Fine. Now the critical analysis goes like this, that even this 51 lakh target that was there, it is very much less. If we see the actual number of pregnancies that are there, it is far more than this 51 lakh number. Is it clear? So already government's target was very much less. Okay, so we should not be very much happy that we have achieved it. Moreover, many of the activists, they say that this entire Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana is illegal. Why Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana is illegal? Because guys, the National Food Security Act 2013, it provides that the 6,000 rupees support will be provided to the every pregnant mother, every pregnant women. Okay, but what happens into the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana? Only for first live birth it is given. Okay, what about the women who are getting pregnant for the second time? No, it is not under the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So it is a violation of NFSA, where all the mothers were to be covered, all the women were to be covered. So this is something that is there. However, these things we have seen earlier also. Okay, so just the day before or yesterday also, it was something that was taken. So guys, that is all about this particular article, and with this we come to an end to this particular session for today. Guys, now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves, and please do answer the MCQs. Okay, make it a habit to do it every day, so to carry forward the revision streak. Now, if you have liked, please do hit the like button, and please do comment. So that is all. Thank you so much.